I'm a feminist, but when I was on Celebrity Pointless, that aired this past Saturday of the recording time, when I was asked to name actors from the 1989 and 2022 Batman, I couldn't remember a single female actress's name. And it was Kim Basinger and Zoe Kravitz were in them. And I was like, Michael Keaton? I felt horrible for that. I still got the trophy.
Did you get the trophy?
I got the trophy.
Did you get the trophy?
I got the trophy.
Wow.
I was very proud of that.
I'm a feminist, but I love nothing more than to watch the Oscars so I can criticise all the red carpet dresses. I would never, ever do it in public because, you never know who might see it. And also other people feel judged and all of that. But in a WhatsApp group where we all understand the boundaries, oh my God, I'm fully fucking going there. Love it. Love it. And I'm very happy to criticise for quite unfeminist things like that top's too low. Like what? Yeah. In real life, I would never say that. But it's red carpet rules. I feel like I've been given permission by Joan Rivers.
When you're wearing an outfit that costs the same as some people's mortgages, it's fair game. Anyone can say whatever they want about you.
I feel like it's punching up, and I wouldn't do it in public because I think it's not nice to go on and slag other women off online, but it's absolutely fine in person.
Yeah. I'm a feminist, but when my agent told me she was going on maternity leave, my first thought was, this is going to negatively impact my career, isn't it?
Oh!
I didn't say it. I said, congratulations, I'm so happy for you. Done. You should take the full year. Please don't take the full year. But you should take it because you deserve it.
I'm a feminist, but I admit my heart has previously sunk at the news of a woman getting pregnant. And do you know what? It's bad enough when you work with them. It's even worse when they're your friend. And then if it's the third one, fine, whatever. They've already gone, But when it's the first one, you've got a perfectly good friend. You see on a Wednesday night for cocktails. They can come, they can go, and you just go, well. You're just over. You're in a different chapter now, and I know I will love you forever. I'll be there for you. All of that, but it's not going to be the same. And why did you have to do it? Does the world really need another baby? There's a little piece of me thinking that. I'm happy for your good news, and I really do. Do you know what? I'm such a good person, guys.
Yeah.
That I subsume those feelings. I sit on those feelings and I go, no, they're happy. They wanted this. I can't understand why, but they wanted this. And, listen, it's not going to affect my brunch.
Yeah.
It's their sleep. So I try and be supportive. But in my mind, I do think...
And you make up for it by having a pregnant woman on your podcast talk about pregnancy. And then it's all fine.
It's true. I've just realised our guest today is quite pregnant.
Did you not realize?
Oh, God,
that's why I did that one. I was like, it's on theme.
We weren't friends. I've met her for the first time tonight. I'll tell you what, I really liked her in the dressing room. And already I'm starting to feel the loss. I think we could be friends. It depends how it goes. Listen, some people have babies and some people, which she's going to explain why it happens. Please don't write to me and say, I hate pregnant women. I really don't. It's a joke. I'm a feminist part, so where we confess the worst things we think. And sometimes I think that, but surely you do too. I love pregnant women. I'm very happy when my friends get pregnant. I know it's awful when people can't get pregnant. They really want to. That happened to me. Please don't write to me to say that I've made you feel bad. I love you pregnant. I love you with a baby. I love you without a baby. I love you all the ways that there are. And I love you, all your babies and all you people without babies. Just love you all. It's just a little thought that I have that I'm confessing because Abigoliah confessed, which I now regret.
I'm a feminist, but on International Women's Day, when comedy clubs decide that that'll be the best time to do an all-female lineup and they send us all out to work, I secretly think I shouldn't have to work today. Pay me to stay home.
Oh, 100% that. I'm a feminist, but I am going to propose a day off a year for women. So not an international... Don't take International Women's Day away. We want that one as well, please. Because I always feel if women get something, they take something else. So please, can we have the one we've got? Because I do like getting together to have brunch and talk about how it's difficult it is to be a woman. It's enjoyable. That's what International Women's Day, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah.
When we get together, we have a brunch sponsored by somebody. Someone else pays for lunch or a glass of champagne, and then we talk about how difficult it is to be a woman. That's what it is. And I like it. I love it.
Me too.
Invite me to all of your brunches and all of your champagnes. But, I would like to officially sponsor an International Women's Day off.
There we go. That's what
Second date. What sort of time of year would you like it? I'm thinking summer. And I think what should be, like if you're in Australia, you should be able to nominate like November, or December the 2nd or something like that. We'll have it August 5th.
I think I like the idea of summer because then your day off, you go out, you enjoy the summer. But I think it should be like December 24th just to really fuck over the dudes. You know what I mean?
Oh, imagine, what if it was the same as Christmas Day? They would be apoplectic.
Oh, there you go.
They wouldn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. They'd be like, what?
Mm-hmm. You make the freaking turkey.
It's true. Anytime there's like producing to do, like it's glamorous, like a film producer, it's almost invariably a man. But I always ask the same thing. Who produces Christmas in your house? Or fill in your festival or here, but you may not celebrate Christmas. I'll tell you, it's not a fucking man unless it's a gay man. A gay man might do Christmas.
And he will do it fabulously.
Yeah. Please don't write in to say, what about Santa? What about Jesus? I get it.
They're not doing Christmas.
The festival is around men, but they don't do the cooking, nor do they do the washing up, in my experience. Jesus has got to have a day off. It's his birthday, to be fair.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything. He just got born. Mary did all the work.
That's a great point. We're such good
Mary
feminists.
did all the work.
It
should be called St. Mary's Day.
Wow, we're really toppling patriarchies, archaic patriarchies.
We figured it out.
We are smashing the patriarchy with words. Live from King's Place in London, the Spontaneous Shop presents The Guilty Feminist with me, Dr. Francis White, guest host Abigoliah, Schamaun, and our very special guests, Rakusen and Amy Acre, talking about child development. This is The Guilty Feminist, the podcast in which we explore our noble goals as 21st century feminists and the hypocrisies and insecurities which undermine them. I'm Deborah Francis White, with me is Abigoliah Schamaun, and we're talking about child development, but actually literally talking about womb to coming out of the womb to the mother or other parent's response to birthing the baby and what happens to them and what happens and how society views that. It's so fascinating.
Everything I did not learn in sex ed in rural Ohio.
That is right. You know, we could have called the episode that.
Yeah, that basically, because growing up in a conservative part of America, I was just told if I look at a boy with my legs uncrossed, I will get pregnant. And then no one explained what happened after that.
No, well, we did. We had a term, I think, of something called mothercraft.
Mothercraft?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like spacecraft and witchcraft.
Yeah, mothercraft.
Sign me up.
I didn't know that was going to be so funny. They apparently still have it at my school, but it's now called parentcraft. And they've included boys. But in my day, it was, no, the boys won't need to know this. This will be for women or for girls who are going to turn into women. And it was a whole term, and we all had these big project books, and we went and covered them in Contact. That was a big thing. And you cut out pictures from magazines. Children magazines were early internet, but you could hold, it was like, imagine if you could hold the internet in your hands.
It's a lot smaller then.
And but none of the pictures moved. And then we'd have to write out things like, dip your elbow in the milk to see that it's, or the bath water or something. Dip your elbow in something. I don't remember, but you had to dip your elbow in things to make sure it wasn't too hot for the baby.
Oh, I remember with pouring the milk on the elbow.
Yeah, maybe you don't dip your milk in the elbow, actually, thinking about it. That's probably unhygienic. You definitely dip your elbow in something. What is it, mothers?
Bath water. Bath water. That makes sense.
Okay, fine. I was a nanny for a limited period. One of the children survived. Despite all odds, I was a great nanny,
just
actually.
dipping your elbow into the peanut butter and the jam.
porridge, the child's eye. So we all had to. And I remember there was a girl at my school. It went to school in a beach town, Australia. There was a girl at my school who was so furious at having to do this, and she said, "Oh, why do we have to learn this? Just stick the bloody baby on your tit, and that's it." What do you need to know? And she was just so furious at the idea of learning mothercraft, which now I look back, it was quite absurd. I've never used it, and I don't remember anything from it. But, I'm sure if you had a baby closer to the time you left school, you'd probably get your project book out and go, oh, yep, dip your elbow in the right thing.
Yeah. I like that one girl being like, just stick the baby on your tit and get on with it. It's like very okay, boomer.
I'm not a boomer. I'm just
not her, not you, not you. This 15-year-old girl before it was even a word. She was giving boomer energy.
She was giving
in
major
mothercraft.
boomer energy in mothercraft. Exactly, saying that this is mothercraft gone mad. She said. Why are we talking about this? Okay, because today India is going to tell us really interesting stuff about what happens to your brain if you get pregnant and you give birth to a child, and all sorts of interesting things. I'm so excited to talk to her. We should do some stand-up comedy.
Oh, that's a good idea. By the way,
should we have our poet first? I think we should have the poet first.
Should we do
or
what?
Do you want to stand up first?
Whatever. Whatever. All I'm thinking is there's usually a clock here and it's gone.
Yeah. Okay. What happened was
broke.
Tom screwed up. I'm so delighted to say this because Tom is the most efficient man in the world.
Okay.
Everything is perfect all of the time in terms of but he somehow drained the iPad, accidentally didn't plug it in or something.
Okay.
So he said, just keep an eye on the time.
Okay, and I haven't been doing that.
He said, at some point, I'll come and glare at you.
Okay.
So Tom's face is the clock today.
Okay, good to know.
But we can I'm just going to keep an eye on the time.
Yes.
I don't actually know what time we're meant to come down, though, and that is a problem.
It is.
Well done. Thank you so much. Oh, you're not going to stand there, though? Okay. Thank you very much.
Wait.
I'll take her. Come around.
But, I got it, Debs. I got it.
Fantastic.
Okay, that's just your phone. You're such a sweetheart.
Well done. Well
and
done.
now 2 women with ADHD will keep time.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes.
Tom, do you know what time we're meant to come down? He'll come and tell us in a second because I'm not strictly sure. It's probably on the clipboard
But
somewhere.
we can do whichever order.
Normally the clock counts down, so we don't need to worry. We just see the minutes draining away and we ignore it.
Yeah. And then we still go over by 10 minutes.
We try and get it right. Let's have some stand-up comedy. Please welcome to the stage, Abigoliah, Schamaun!
Oh, we've had the running order in front of us the whole freaking time. And we didn't
have
even know.
ADHD. This isn't our skill. Our
Yeah.
skill is riffing.
Yeah.
Our skill is being funny off the cuff and interviewing guests and all of that. That's our skill. Our skill is not looking at clipboards to see that there is a dime on the very front page, as it turns out.
We're not in charge of that. We're talent. But you know what, guys? November 11th is a very big holiday in America and here in the U of K. Very big holiday, November 11th. One person got the U of K joke. The rest of you are like, she said it wrong. I do that on purpose. Humor, guys. Stay with me. November 11th. Very, very big holiday. Everyone say it with me. My birthday. Thank you. Thank you. It's my birthday. And this past birthday, I turned 38 years old. I know. It's very exciting. Now, it's weird. There's something that happens that I didn't know was going to happen when I hit my late 30s. Give me a cheer if in your late 30s. Woo! Now, I don't know about you guys, but all of a sudden, all of my friends who are in my age group just became ever so whiny. Did you find this? All of a sudden, all my friends, we hit our late 30s, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired all the time. Now that I'm in my late 30s, I'm so tired. Am I the only one who's been exhausted since they were 11? Like, Like, because I was told growing up in Greenville, Ohio, in order to get into a very good university, I would have to do very well in school. So I did that. I worked very good in school. I did every extracurricular activity, and I got into a good university. And once I showed up in New York City, no one cared that I was a brown belt in Taekwondo. I did all that extra work for nothing. Now I'm 38. I have all the energy in the world. You know why? I cut out the extra work. I now approach my life like a white middle-class man. I do the bare minimum, but have all the confidence. And somehow it's just weird because I'm enjoying it. I'm liking getting older. It's fun for me. And all my friends, they're complaining. They're like, oh, gosh, now my knees are starting to hurt. My elbows are starting to hurt. My back's starting to hurt. Let me tell you guys something. Before I was a stand-up comedian, I was a professional yoga instructor. After doing that, I got really into CrossFit and would enter CrossFit competitions. I stopped working out 2 years ago. I am pain-free for the first time in my life. Getting older is freaking awesome. And all my friends are freaking out. They're like, my metabolism's slowing down. I'm getting fatter. I am the fattest I've ever been. I love it. You know why? Winter is coming. I've been Abigoliah. Thank you so much.
Abigoliah Schamaun, everybody! Hello, Guilty Feminists. This is Deborah. You have got one last chance to see us in London before I am off on tour to Australia and New Zealand. We will be at King's Place on the 10th of April, where Alison Spittle will be co-hosting. Now, we've got a very important episode. We've talked briefly on the podcast already about what's happening with reproductive justice in this country and abortion rights. There are currently 3 bills, anti-abortion bills, of varying degrees in the House of Lords at the moment. There's a two-way push for and against abortion rights creeping in that we are not really paying attention to. So we have a panel of experts, including Felicia Jung from Reproductive Justice Initiative, to talk about that. We also have some other great guests talking about a brand new study about refugees in work, and that's also going to be amazing. But I would like as many people as possible to come out because we need to be talking about, thinking about, campaigning about abortion rights in this country. France has just put it into their constitution. We don't have a constitution. We will have a section for Q&A, so you can specifically ask our panel of experts what to do, what's going on, and what's going to happen next. For tickets, go to kingsplace.co.uk and search for Guilty Feminist, or go to guiltyfeminist.com and go on live shows. Our tour Down Under begins, and we can announce our amazing co-hosts for these shows. On the 11th of May in Auckland, the 14th of May in Wellington, and the 15th of May in Christchurch, I am going to be co-hosting for the first time with the incredible stand-up comedian from Aotearoa, Michelle Accord. I know she's huge in New Zealand and a massive feminist, and I'm very, very excited. We tried to work with her before, and her daughter very inconveniently gave birth that night. I can't think of a more feminist reason not to come, so we're very, very excited. Then we'll be in Adelaide on the 18th of May with Geraldine Hickey. After that, we're coming to you, Perth, on the 20th of May with Claire Hooper. Then we'll be in Sydney on the 23rd of May with Geraldine Hickey. And then we'll be in Melbourne on the 25th of May. I am not allowed to say who the co-host is, but she is a big Australian favourite and she's amazing. I am not allowed to announce her yet because she's so famous and fabulous. And the guest is a A-list Australian star. Again, we're just getting permission to announce her. So I would recommend, if you're in Melbourne especially, our tickets are going fast everywhere, but I would recommend if you're in Melbourne especially, you get your tickets now before the announcement is made, because you are going to want to see these people. And we also have some incredible activist voices and other special stuff going on.
The last 2 dates are in Brisbane on the 27th of May with the wonderful Alice Fraser, and in Canberra on 28th of May we end the tour with Kirsty Wiebeck. Grace Petrie's coming out and she's doing all the dates with me. We're also going to have poets, activists, incredible guests. It's going to be, do you remember how buzzy the tour was last time and everyone was hysterical at the end? It's going to be like that again, so do not miss out. Get tickets now at guiltyfeminist.com and click on live shows. You can also get an ad-free version of the podcast from Patreon, Apple Podcasts or Acast Plus from as little as £2.50 a month. And that really helps to support the podcast and pay all the wonderful people who support me in bringing you The Guilty Feminist every week. You can also show support in a way that costs you nothing by going to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and giving The Guilty Feminist a 5-star review, even though you've done it before, because it really, really helps other people find us in a very crowded market with a weird algorithm pushing people further to alt-right content every week. And so we'd really, really love it if you'd tell people about it, share it online. And now back to the podcast.
Our first guest today is a poet and editor. Her debut collection, Mother Song, can you see tying into our theme, Bloomsbury 2023, is shortlisted for the John Pollard Foundation International Poetry Prize and was named a Book of the Year in the Telegraph and the Financial Times. Please welcome to the mic, Amy Acre.
Hello.
Hi. I'm going to read a couple of poems from my book Mother Song, which is a book I wrote in response to the kind of quite staggering changes that I found happening in myself and in the way that I relate to the world and kind of to everything in my life when I had my daughter. And I think, as we're going to hear about from India later, which I'm really excited about, the changes are really quite profound, and some wonderful and some terrible. And I think that writing this book was a way of really holding on to myself and making sure that I didn't get lost. So the first poem I'm going to read is about anxiety on the underground. And it's called In the Wet Aired Trenches of the Tube. I was a tigress, cub in jaw, sniffing out cordite and saltpeter, spying war shapes in the dark. I saw the parched black mouth of the track, a long marauding animal, limbless slither, crab apple on tongue. My child, months from the womb, hung from my teeth. I ferried her by the neck and saw her death everywhere. I hung on the grit-kissed wall until the train pummeled in to replace imagination. Forgive me. I saw things I couldn't tell my therapist. I mauled thought to silence and counted my steps and talked to myself in dissertation. I saw others, smelt their milk in the slow lifts, smiled at their litters and wondered if they too saw their babies fall, if they fought escalators tumbling with fear, if we were all staring down the same muzzle, waiting for the grip to drop from our own hands. And this one is atheism. Dear Lord, fix my broken vagina, that I may climb the tree of longing and find myself in its branches, feet tucked under knees, pleated skirt and no pants. Let the freckles on my husband's arm tickle not my heart but lower. Let the music of my cunt sing like the hot tap or the vibrato of the throat attached to rash hands dripping with their own enemy. Dear Lord, make porn better. Or good porn cheaper. Or just make me richer. Let the blonde on the tube platform bend again to tie her shoes when I'm alone. Let my husband clean the bath or fix a fault in the pipes that I may find him on his knees, earth-greased arms holding the house up, behind him, a perfect pout. Dear Lord, let our daughter not wake as I guide his face to my waistband. Dear Lord, please fix my broken vagina because I have so many tasks in the day and I need something. I have already changed the sheets. Dear Lord, I am tired of thinking about nuns or schoolgirls or rape. I want to live in his eyes. I want my body to strike, to strobe on the bed with us and not slink a smudge on the wallpaper or draft tweet. I am scared that I've politicized touch to the point where I have cancelled my own desire and I am tired. I am so fucking tired all the time. Dear Lord, I used to have an awesome vagina. It got everything right and made friends easily. Dear Lord, since leaving home, I have belonged to 21 houses. If you leave skin everywhere, I must be paper. Dear Lord, it's me at 14, held by hands I recall more clearly now. There is a smaller me running through the house. Dear Lord, when he holds me close, I am butter from the fridge, sticking to rip and impossibly stiff, but I remember what it feels like to melt. I know I am in here, somewhere. Thank you.
Amy, come join us for a second. Amy Acre, everybody! Oh, sorry. I thought there was another chair there. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to talk to you for a minute before you go, because that was absolutely extraordinary. Mother Song is shortlisted for the John Pollard Foundation International Poetry Prize and was named a Book of the Year in the Telegraph and the Financial Times. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
So it's a collection of poems that I started writing when I was pregnant with my daughter in 2017, and then kind of charts my early motherhood, but also a lot of the things in my own childhood that kind of rose up to meet me when I had this kind of small me looking at, like, for example, the loss of my father when I was young, and I think when you have this small person that looks like you, it kind of does this strange thing where you're completely changed, but it also transports you back to those really early sort of forming memories.
I'm sure. It's really beautiful poetry. And we can buy Mother Song where? Anywhere we get our books?
From all good bookshops.
All good bookshops?
Preferably in indie. In indie bookshops, support them, but also from Waterstones and
The other one.
Yeah.
So you can get it anywhere, but make your choice wisely.
Yeah.
I think that's an absolutely beautiful book of poetry that I will certainly be devouring.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely stunning stuff. And thank you for coming and delivering these poems on theme. Have you got any other anthologies or already out, or that we can look forward to?
I've got a couple of pamphlets. They've got really long titles,
well, we'll look
but
you up.
Can find
You've got
them
a
up.
website,
amyacre.org. I also run a small press called Bad Betty, and we publish a lot of fantastic poets, so they're worth checking out.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. Check out amyacre.org and buy her book and see what else that she's writing and publishing. Amy Acre, everybody!
Thank you so much.
Our guest today is an award-winning radio and TV presenter and producer. She focuses on personal stories that explore the impact of our fast-changing world on individuals and society. Her recent projects include hit podcast 28-ish Days Later, all about the menstrual cycle, and Witch, all about witches, for Radio 4. Her BBC podcast Child explores a child's development from before it's a child, when it's a zygote, from fertilization to first birthday. Please welcome to the stage the incredible India Rakusen. India, Come, take a seat.
I just want to say, India, both Deborah and I love pregnant women.
Sure.
We're such big fans. No, I genuinely am. It's just a little selfish moment of,
Sorry, I can't tell you how upset I am to be here at 9:45.
no.
Such a bad time for a
Listen,
35-week pregnant woman to be singing on stage.
I'm so sorry. I tried to get pregnant and I couldn't. I tried loads with IVF and stuff and I couldn't. So maybe it's a bit of selfishness in me of going, oh, well, maybe someone else won't or can't have a baby and then we can hang out. But I'm fine about not having a baby, by the way. You don't have to be sensitive about that. Sometimes if you say that, people go, oh, they make a face like, I don't know what to say now. But I think in the end it was the right thing for me. But it doesn't mean I'm not absolutely gripped by everything. I'm just bringing up my notes. By everything, I'm not texting, by the way, I've got notes on my phone, because I listened to this podcast series and I was just so gripped and I had so many different thoughts that I wrote down here. So this is everything from fertilization through to development, through to birth,
all the way through birth. Well, we say everything. It's 27 episodes that are 13 minutes long, and that is not enough time to cover everything. It's a lot.
Things I didn't know.
It's a lot.
Like the placenta, I don't think I really knew what it was, except I just thought it was a bit of jelly that the baby is encased in, that you have to put your elbow in just to check it's okay. Yeah. That's what I assumed.
Hollywood stars eat theirs.
Yes, I knew that sometimes eccentric people, celebrities, would serve it up at the christening.
What?
They don't eat it at the christening. They just turn it into like a vitamin and eat it.
I've heard that people make cakes.
Some people do fry it like a liver.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
They just like nice bit of, I don't know, sage butter.
But
I wish I hadn't mentioned this. I wish I hadn't brought that up as a funny thing.
It's awful. But I'm sure it's lovely. If you ate your placenta, by the way, don't email me. I'm sure it was wonderful. Yes, please send me some placenta cake. Yum. What can I just ask? Because I didn't really know what it was, except that I knew it was, the sack that the baby's in.
No.
No, it's like the stuff that it's.
Should I just tell you?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, they didn't cover this in Crafty Mom.
It is. It's like the bit that comes out.
We have our own yolk.
It's not the amniotic sac. It's not the amniotic sac.
No,
but it's sort of.
It's an organ created by the baby, so the baby grows it. It attaches. It's a temporary organ,
like a plug, isn't it?
It's like a plug. Exactly. It's like a hand that goes out and attaches to the wall of the uterus.
How science fiction is this? It's not right, is it? It's like
really
alien.
Weird.
Have you
seen a
weird.
picture of one as well? They're amazing. They look like the sort of veins running through them look like trees, and they're quite big as well. They take up a lot of weight and a lot of space inside the uterus.
And what does the placenta really do?
So it's often been thought of as this kind of like invasive organ that just clings to the mother, and then just sucks everything out of the mother's body, which it kind of does. But it's way more collaborative than that, and that's what, like, some really interesting placenta science at the moment is kind of showing that it's much more communicative. So it can send signals through the barrier to the mother, and the mother can send signals back through. Obviously, it's supplying blood, oxygen.
So when you say
nutrients.
signals, like what, like an email?
Yeah, hormonal. It's a big endocrine system. So it has its own hormonal signalling, so it can speak to what it needs from the mother.
So the placenta goes, and the mother or
like that.
Other can go and give it back. So
it is alive.
Now, one of the really interesting things in the podcast that you say is that, or that you explore in your interviews, is that you can see the brain of a mother or other parent who's giving birth changing.
Yeah, so there's some wonderful MRI scan research coming out at the moment. So this is my brain is dead. And I'm going to tell you why. Because in pregnancy, you go through such enormous changes in the body. So like huge hormonal changes. You have more estrogen during one pregnancy than you will have in the whole of your life. You will experience in the whole of your life as a woman. And that obviously has huge impacts. But the brain basically does something called neural pruning. So it starts in pregnancy, and what it does is it particular areas of your brain, I can't remember which ones, but I can tell you their functions, will start to shrink, and grey matter will grow in other areas. So with particular, it's kind of basically specialises in social functions. So areas of the brain that are about language learning or recognising emotions in people's faces become like further amplified, I suppose. And it's obviously biologically to prepare a person for looking after a tiny, tiny thing that has to survive. But what I just think is brilliant about this research is that it just makes so much sense, and it's kind of a relief to hear. What you were saying about losing friends, I agree. We've all lost friends to children. I've lost friends to my own children. That happens. But there are big changes that go on. And I remember going to see friends who'd had babies when I'd not had a baby and being like, oh, they are really boring now. Or like, why can't you just had this baby? And you're like, hey, how are you? And they're like, yeah, the baby. And you're like, anything else? Politics? They're like, no, the baby. And it's because their brain...
There's a neurological reason why this happens to some
Absolutely,
people.
Yeah. And it's about a child surviving. It's about a baby surviving.
So is it that, what I sort of picked up from your podcast, is that your brain is so... It just has to zero in, and this. Not everyone will relate to this, but many, many people do, that your brain is so occupied by zeroing in and just focusing on the survival of the baby. For a while, it doesn't give a fuck what your name is or how to do a spreadsheet. It's just like, I don't have room for this. I'm focused on one thing only. Other than that, I'm tired. I just need to focus on this. Is that correct? And you can see that under an MRI machine happen to some people.
It's not the need that is causing the brain changes. The brain changes happen as a course of the process of pregnancy. So like, it may not be, obviously it will happen to certain different extents within people, and then you have your own context and your own experience on top of that will make you feel different to other people. But yeah, that's basically what happens.
Because I've had friends and family who've gotten pregnant and then they talk about mom brain. Have you guys heard about this?
Mommy
Where
brain.
they're like, oh, I have mom brain now. I'm just a little bit stupider. Like they're just like, I'm not firing like I used to, but there's a neurological, like that's not just a thing they're imagining, and it's not
I
just
don't think it's stupider.
exhausted.
It's just distracted. It's just like, I need everything for this thing.
Yeah.
So
that's how it's always been described as me.
Yeah,
Me
mummy brain. It's
anecdotally.
all like ooh, and soft and gooey, and you can't sort your life out. But I mean, these changes are so big that they like people who know how to read MRI scans can look at a selection of brains in front of them and pick out 6 years after the person was pregnant, pick out the people who were pregnant without knowing
6 years after?
up to 6 years. Yeah.
So 6 years later, you're still paying the price for giving birth.
Oh my God, yes.
Longer than that, Deborah.
But the kids
my
are
mom's
at school
still
now.
paying for it.
Well, yes, in other ways, but
Yeah.
neurologically, you can still have after effects. And then when the child's 7, it's gone.
I mean, it's a rough... The research is obviously very new because people haven't been bothered to sort of question as to whether or not these are like real physiological, biological changes, or if it's just women being pathetic and tired.
We don't research women usually. It's so rare.
Yeah.
So and obviously people who can give birth are predominantly women. So this is a real new area. But the neurologists can see 6 years later, this person's given birth, this person's given birth. That's incredible.
And, like listening to Amy's poetry just then and like everything that we're saying about losing friends and, people changing is kind of true. And I do think that's important to recognise. And just how you feel after you've given birth. And I love that Amy wrote about anxiety. I remember one of the first things I did after first like outdoor events was I went to a pub with some friends, and I got this like massive wave of anxiety, and I just desperately didn't want to be there, and I was just trying not to cry, but they all just wanted to have a drink, and it was just the pub. For everyone else, it was being in the pub, and then for me, something was going on where I felt like I was like brittle and I was about to break, and I was trying not to cry, and I remember a friend going, "Do you want to go home?" I was like, "Yeah," but no one acted on it. No one sort of. And I didn't have the courage to do it, but it's real. Like it's the metamorphosis of pregnancy and motherhood is quite extreme. And thank God we have some science now.
And now we can see that is really impacting you and can be impacting you for a long time. This is not to say that people who've given birth or that everyone has given birth experiences the same thing. And this is not to say that 6 years later people have the same sort of brain fog that they experience right after birth or, in fact, at menopause in some cases. But it is to say that there are still after effects. And if you've been impacted by that, it's good to know that there's science and not to feel like, oh, this is just me, or this is, I now feel isolated because I've got a baby. It's like there are physiological things that happen to you.
Yeah, we don't want people listening and going, we won't employ women for 6 years after they've given birth because they'll get it wrong. They'll mess up the data. We don't want that. Because it's not that extreme. And it's not to overplay it. It's just to say that it happens.
And also, men have got loads of hormones that distract them.
Lots.
All the time.
Yeah.
So
the most hormonal. The most hormonal
and often the most distracted. This is not an advertisement for women. They'll have baby brain for 6 years. It's not like that. But it is just, if you still experience some of these symptoms, it's not you. There's something that could be happening to you physiologically. Can you talk to us a little bit about the imagery of the Virgin Mary and what cultural and social impact that has had?
Yeah, the Virgin Mary is like a great example of perhaps how we have come to see mothers, right? Maybe arguably one of the most influential mother figures globally. And we had an amazing writer and historian, Dr. Eleanor Cleghorn, on the series, who wrote Unwell Women as well. So she's a feminist medical historian. And we were talking about the image of the Virgin Mary because there's this amazing missed opportunity there in the story of the Virgin Mary, because she's this, she's going into labour, they're looking for a stable, blah, 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 and then she just has the baby. There's no, blood or pain or struggle or anything. It's just this,
If you have a nativity play at your children's school this year, can I direct it? Because I've got an idea, you guys. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be push, and just buckets of blood, screaming, stitches.
I'd pay good money to see you direct a nativity play.
Just a suggestion. Most of it's going to be like ER. And then the shepherds are going to come in and be like, oh my God, it's a bloodbath in here. Listen, just suggestions. The wise men are going to be like, no, we don't feel wise in this situation.
I don't understand this. Yeah. So it's an amazing missed opportunity, really, to sort of talk about the realities, I suppose, of being a birthing person and being a mother.
Especially if you're a virgin. It must be quite tricky to get a baby out.
Yeah.
I've never thought of that before.
It's almost like men wrote the Bible.
Never thought of that before. But a virgin giving birth, it's not going to just slip out. Although, I suppose if you've got God's blessing, maybe it did.
You've probably got a lot going on anyway, right, in birth? So
she's been
I
riding a donkey for days.
We know she's got that brain fog because she's not reserved anywhere, and she should have known Joseph wasn't going to. She should have known. She should have known.
Yeah. I don't know how you'd sit on a donkey in labour. I don't know how you would do it.
That's a great point too.
Get me off this donkey right now. I'm going to die.
At least it would break the hymen if you're a virgin.
Good point.
It's
Maybe that's what it was
almost like
for.
a man made up the Bible.
But you've said even in places where Christianity isn't focal, it somehow has become this pervasive image of what mothers should be like.
And it's this self-sacrificing, perfect, all-giving, all-loving image of the mother, which is really pervasive. And the problem with that is that it's put on, and this is what we go to, loads of detail in the series, but it puts so much pressure and onus on the mother figure when there is no evidence that beyond breastfeeding, if you choose to breastfeed, there are specific biological reasons that the mother has to be with the baby. And we know that. We have loads of same-sex parents, adoptive parents, carers of all sorts. We know that. And yet still, through the whole of our society, there's this how's the mother doing it? What's she doing? What's she up to? How is she? Oh, she's in control and she's in charge and she knows all the information. And that's just just wrong. You know, we used to allo parent and allo nurse. We used to share.
Sorry, allo parent?
Allo parent, so co-parenting. So
Okay.
we were evolved to parent together.
As a community.
As a community, to pass the baby around, to feed each other's babies.
And to feed each other's babies.
Yeah.
To share breast milk.
To share breast milk.
But doesn't your breast milk have something in it to protect your baby? Or if you live in a small community, that would probably follow that your baby will be allergic to or non-allergic to similar things.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I know that's true in different cultures, that there's a shared breastfeeding. I once went to a wedding when the best man said, "Your mother used to breastfeed me." It got awkward, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to give a speech as well because I was maid of honour, and I had to say to my friend, "And I look forward to breastfeeding your baby." Because apparently that's a thing in this family.
That's like shocking, but then you think, well, that's actually what used to happen.
Yeah. So one of the things I found really, really interesting was this cooperative reproduction, and that a baby has a unique ability to bond with any adult. It doesn't have to be a parent even, or anybody biological to them. They can just bond with a carer. And there's even neurology that, you know, the neurological changes that you have with a mother and a baby, you can have with, or a carer and any carer
Absolutely.
and a baby.
Absolutely.
And you can see, so I'm adopted, so my mother would have neurologically bonded with me. So there would have been a biological component to our arrangement, our family. Our arrangement, like we made it. Listen, I was 10 days old. I said, look, we'll make an arrangement.
Yeah.
That is fascinating. That the nuclear family is incredibly new. It's like from the 50s that people started going, mother, father, children all live away from the rest of the family in a little house. Before, people lived in communities. And so this onus on the mother, this responsibility on the mother, plus the Madonna image everywhere, makes women think, who have given birth to a child, I've got to be the be-all and end-all, and I could be a failure at this, and the baby's sort of pretty much my responsibility, unless I give it to the father for or the other carer for a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's a really important point on fathers as well, and that we know that they have massive testosterone changes during pregnancy as well as after birth. Their testosterone will lower, oxytocin will go up, they'll adapt. Carers, grandparents, they all adapt. It's really important for us to know that is a really important, like, that other people can care for. And also, I think it's how you see the baby, right? So I think about 30 years ago, child development studies have come on loads in the last 30 years, but basically babies were seen as these kind of inert, cortexless blobs that did nothing.
Yes.
But they're not. Like, from the get-go, when they are born, they are watching, and there's this amazing new research where they've sort of seen that babies, like about 3 months old, can pick out the difference so they can tell who's closer to them by proximity, who might care for them better, by watching people share saliva. So
what?
As in,
So French kissing?
like French kiss.
You should be French kissing in front of your baby.
Watching you snog.
So they know you're safe.
Who snogs in
Babies
front
watch
of their newborn?
everything. But like,
suppose
if
people
you
have to.
share foods or clean, I was about to clean your face. Sorry.
Oh, not snogging.
Not snogging. Well, maybe snogging, but like...
What? So a baby sees you go like that to your child, like clean your child's face with spit?
Like they are more... they're a safer, closer familial connection than this person. It's not like a preference, but they're
when can a baby's eyes focus? I thought babies couldn't focus at first.
They can focus... immediately they can focus sort of the distance of like a breast to an eye, which makes sense, the face, so they're instantly seeing
And some
faces.
people maintain that in their men. Sorry.
It's so true.
Continue.
That sort of like rapidly progresses. And then, they're not long.
So then they're just watching who you spit on.
Yeah,
going,
just exactly.
okay, you're a spitter. You probably are going to be a better carer than this non-spitter over here who's like getting a wet wipe and going...
Exactly. The person who can't cope with
That is
spit.
fascinating.
Yeah.
And how do they
that's
know
a little
that?
example, right?
How do they know that, though?
I I don't know. So this is all coming
they
from
put
like
the baby's brains under MRI machines,
Yeah,
and then they
that's
watch
exactly.
them go spitter, spitter, spitter.
So this is
Or they must put electrodes, because under an MRI machine you wouldn't see anybody spitting. So they must put the little electrodes on their head.
I think they do this one by eye movement, the spitting one. But babies in MRI scanners is a really interesting territory because that's just happening at MIT now.
Yeah.
They've been doing it. So putting a person in an MRI scanner, you need, I think, about 40 minutes of being like completely stationary. So putting a baby in an MRI scanner, they have to be awake so they can respond to the stimulus and completely still.
Well, how does any baby do that, though? Because
They
their
get
babies
like
are
the
notoriously...
tiniest little snapshots of information from a baby's
Wow.
brain. They are like utterly fascinating. They're these kind of black boxes of development, but they're the fastest learners on the planet. There's now there's an amazing child development philosopher and a psychologist, and she is now working with companies like Google, DeepMind, and Meta. They want to know how a baby learns.
I don't want Meta
I don't
to know.
want them
I
to
don't
know
Meta
that.
should not know. Block it.
No, yeah.
Meta,
Because-
oh my God, so they can do baby Facebook.
No!
Baby spit Facebook.
Instead of a poke, you get a spit.
Oh.
People poke each other on
Oh. Don't tell Zuckerberg any fucking thing
I
about what's
know.
going on in a baby's mind.
But they want to know it for AI.
No!
So that's what they are interested. They're calling in all these child development. I don't know, there's loads, but definitely
Stop
Alison
it!
Gopnik.
No. Stop it now!
Okay.
No, not you. How do
Oh,
we
right.
stop it? Not you.
I don't know. It's terrifying, isn't it? Because
We have to
should
kidnap-
that happen? I don't know. That should
No, it shouldn't.
But that's what we're up against. Like they are the fastest, most amazing learning machines on the planet. Are babies.
So they're
They learn
teaching
like-
AI how to learn like babies.
They're trying to figure out if they can figure out how a baby can learn and make like neurological connections and make its brain pick up what it picks
That
up
does
and the
it.
speed that it picks up. Then they can get AI. Well, the idea being that they could hopefully meet it with AI.
Listen, after this, guys, we have to kidnap Mark Zuckerberg and just not hurt him. Just put him in a very safe space with no devices so he cannot do anything anymore.
Scary.
It's crazy.
It's really scary.
I find that absolutely the most terrifying thing I've ever heard. Zuckerberg is capturing children, holding them down under MRI machines in a special brace, learning how their brain develops so he can teach a robot to do the same but without any empathy.
That's exactly it.
Oh my God,
no.
we are so done for.
That means the robots will all be like toddlers, right? Because aren't toddlers like functioning people without empathy? Did I make that up? I
Isn't that
don't
what
have
that
children.
Emma Stone movie
I don't
was
know
about?
if you can
That's
tell.
Terrifying.
Toddlers are very hard to study because they are so contrary.
And
Yeah.
if you are a
Can't get any
toddler,
truth out of them.
listening to this, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. If you're a toddler, run fast.
run.
You see that? You do not stop. Someone ties you into an MRI machine, you keep moving, kid. You keep moving.
If you see a man in a gray T-shirt, run. Run.
I beg you not to be still because they will capture what's in your brain and they will give it to a robot, and the robots don't have any empathy and they're not building empathy in. Oh my God. Listen, I thought this was going to be a lot more relaxing.
Deborah's really
I don't
freaked
want to
out
upset
right now.
your baby or agitate your baby.
He's been upset and agitated since we got here.
Has he?
No.
Fair
Not a
enough.
feminist.
No, he loves it.
Well, that's not what you just said.
And speaking
like,
of
you should
which,
be
your
in bed.
baby should follow the Guilty Feminists on Facebook.
Yes, absolutely.
Can
Let's
I-
get an account now.
I have a question. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't have children, and I've never tried to have one. So, as one of the non-child people of the world, I am aware that sometimes we say really dumb stuff to the child people, to pregnant people, to you know what I mean, like or to people who have kids.
Give me an example.
Like I mean
Parents.
the big one to parents or like kind of like before someone gets pregnant, the big one would be like, oh, are you trying to get pregnant? Well, I've heard once you stop trying, it just happens. You know, those sorts of things.
Oh, God.
Or like the whole thing around breastfeeding. Like I've heard this, we're always here. Now, there's a lot of stuff that the non-parent people know we shouldn't talk about anymore. But is there one thing that keeps coming up that the non-parents are saying to the parents that really you're just like, you got to stop weighing in?
What shouldn't you say to parents or prospective parents?
I might have made that way more difficult.
I feel like there were 7 questions, and then like
No. What is the thing that people who don't have children should not say to people who have children? Because I know we're doing something that we shouldn't be doing.
Why do you think that?
Because there's proof. I've just given 2 examples.
I think rather than things that you shouldn't say, I think being there to listen and not just assuming that, like, I think it's really easy to sort of kind of, I don't know if this...
No, be assy about it.
I don't think it's really easy maybe to belittle the experience of parenting and to not think about it as this, like, massive change that you maybe weren't expecting, and actually, oh, fuck, things are really hard, the relationship's really hard, I don't know about work, I don't know about my career, I'm worried about this, and da-da-da. The child's like this, I have feelings that I didn't expect to have, like negative feelings, and as well as lovely feelings. I think it's, rather than being afraid to say the wrong thing, just being really open to hear anything and to receive it and kind of let that conversation be a conversation rather than being like, oh yeah, it's just kid. It's so easy to put it all down, and in a way it is so ridiculous, and you end up doing stupid things, and you have arguments over bananas, and you don't sleep, and you lose your mind. But I mean, I walk around, definitely there are people who I feel like I've lost out of my life because the conversation isn't easy anymore. Or I worry that I'm really boring. It's my greatest worry in life, is that I'm now that I was.
We should take those jokes out of the top of this. This was not the right episode.
No, but I think it's all fair, because when you if you haven't, or maybe you have like a really easy ride with parenting, whatever, but I deeply worry. I feel like I need to go sit down with friends and be like, I'm sorry I've been boring for 2.5 years, but I actually have found things really tough, or I'm really tired, or I feel like I've changed, I feel like a different person. So just having it open to that.
I'm not bored of people with babies. I feel I become less relevant. It's more the other way around, where I sort of think, I'm not the one they want to talk to anymore. They want to talk to other people with babies. And I think that's not always true. Loads of my friends are like, please talk to me about something other than babies.
Yeah, please.
And other people are like, they just go into that zone where they're like, they want to be with other people having that experience. And I think that's totally fair enough. I absolutely get it. So it's clearly a joke, but it's clearly a little bit of a selfishness in you where you go, oh, it won't be the same. But I really took a big pledge to myself not to leave women with babies out, or assume they won't want the job, or assume that they won't, oh, she's just had a baby, she won't want to be invited to this, or she won't. Because actually it's always nice to be invited.
Yeah.
And often new parents will go, yeah, absolutely. And they'll come and they'll bring the baby, or they'll leave the baby. But don't write people off, I think, is what's really important.
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't know if we've got I think we've hardly got any minutes left, but we've probably got time for one quick question. Anyone got a question? Yes?
So India is both someone that is very knowledgeable and researched about, pregnancy, gestation, and being a new parent, as well as being a parent. What can we all do to better support those that are having children? I'm a paediatric nurse. I see how difficult it is. I have seen new parents in A&E in tears, feeling like they're not doing anything right. And we are now, with research, realising how important perinatal care is for both child and, child bearer. What do you feel is important that we should be supporting to, enable our next generation to flourish and to be better to those that choose to have children?
I mean, so much. There is so much, isn't there? Where to start? I mean, we could look at our maternity services, which leave people who've given birth absolutely floundering a lot of the time, often through no fault of the people who work in them, but through a lack of funding and a lack of interest in many ways in the outcomes for people. I think looking at again, it's this pressure on the individual parents of getting it right and not looking at the bigger societal issues that are ticking away as I say, like time bombs, but they're already exploding. You know, we know that a lack of stable housing leads to preterm or low weight births. We know that racial inequalities multiple studies have shown as racial inequalities lead to poorer outcomes for both mother and children. We could look at air pollution. You know, that is as much of a danger for miscarriage, it's now believed, as smoking. And yet still there's all this like pressure on the individual to like carry and bring up this infant, and we've kind of forgotten it's a societal job. It takes a village. Yeah. And in many ways you could say, well, it's your choice to have a child, but you know, the economy would hate it if everyone just sort of started thinking like that as well. So, you know, there is a societal responsibility. And I think, like I was saying, just listening, you know, maternal mental health is a huge problem. Luckily in the UK, we actually, in good news, have some of the best care, which is great. You know, some of the biggest, most spaces for mothers and mother and baby units. But yeah, I think listening and not writing this experience off as like, it's so ordinary, isn't it, having a baby, and yet it's so extraordinary. And I think being able to hold both of those truths in the same place.
Wonderful. We don't have time to go into it, but I really ask you, if you have access to listen to this series, that you do. And there's an image by an artist called Catherine Opie, which is Catherine as a butch woman holding her baby in a Madonna-like pose. And it's the most extraordinary thing when you see it, because you realise you don't see that. So Google Catherine Opie and that image of mother and baby. It's a really interesting thing when you talk about people who don't look like, you know, quote unquote mothers, and how we often don't include them because of this pervasive image of the Madonna.
Maternity catalogues. Oh.
Maternity catalogues. There are so many interesting points in this series. Tell us, where can we hear it and what's it called?
It's called Child. You can hear on BBC Sounds or wherever you get your podcasts.
Excellent. Big round of applause for India Rakusen, everybody. Can I also say a huge round of applause for Abigoliah Schamaun? Abigoliah?
Yeah.
Where can we see you?
If you want to follow me on Instagram, that would be great, because, like I said, I'm trying to get to 10,000 followers, and it's not happening.
You're huge on TikTok, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm huge on TikTok. It's very frustrating. Children love me. It's the hair. Anyway, I have a podcast as well called Neurodivergent Moments that I co-host with my buddy Joe Wells. I have ADHD. Joe is autistic. And we talk to other creative neurodivergent people about how our minds are different. So available wherever you listen to podcasts. And we are doing a live recording on May 26th at the old firehouse station in Oxford. So if you live in the Oxford area, come see us on May 26th. Obviously no one in here, but, you know, for the record, people.
And are you doing Global Pillage on the 9th of May?
Yeah, but they're not on sale yet, but keep an eye out on my socials, on Guilty Feminist socials. We will be recording episodes in May and in June.
And we are back here on the 10th of April. If all of you could come and sit in exactly the same places, we've really enjoyed you as an audience. That'd be great. We've got some incredible guests for you then as well. Also, we're touring Australia and New Zealand if you've got any friends over there. And please listen to the podcast. You can give any individual episode a great review and a 5-star review, because it really helps other people find it. Also, between us, there are some anti-trans people who've been giving us low reviews just to sort of fuck with that, because we always had 5 stars. I haven't looked lately, but there was a little while where they were like, just flood them with 1 stars to bring their stars down. So it really sucks. So if you can give us a few 5-star reviews, that would really help us out. I think we're still up there. It's just I saw that happening and I saw people saying it online and I was like, oh. So I don't know. I never really look at that stuff because I still love that you're listening and you're coming and, you know. So I really appreciate whatever you could do to tell someone else about the show or support our new ventures. This has been a really nice night. We've had some great guests, right? Please give it up for India Rakusen and Amy Acre. Abigoliah Schamaun. here at King's Place, as well as all of you for listening, for coming, for giving us your attention. Thank you so much. You've been a lovely audience. We've been The Guilty Feminist. I've been Deborah Francis-White. Good night. You have been listening to The Guilty Feminist with me, Deborah Francis-White, guest co-host Abigoliah Schamaun, and our very special guest, India Rakusen and Amy Acre. The recording engineer was Chris Sharp. The Guilty Feminist theme tune was composed by Mark Hodge. The producer was Tom Silsky for the Spontaneity Shop. Thanks to Rachel Crafton, Sheena Dicio, Dana Mohammed, and everyone at King's Place, as well as all of you for listening. For more information about this and other episodes, visit guiltyfeminist.com. For some reason I've got a cough tonight, but I don't think it's contagious. I think it's something I got stuck in my throat. It's all right. I haven't given your baby anything. You've got your placenta in place, yep. Protecting it. We'll eat it later. Thank you so much.
The Guilty Feminist is provided exclusively from Acast. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.